What's up, everyone? I'm Brian Jester, a co-founder here at Occupy Fantasy. We just finished our live Twitch stream, first ever XFL DFS Week 1 discussion. You're about to watch that replay where we took your questions, talked about some XFL DFS picks for Week 1, lineup strategies for FanDuel and DraftKings, 2-game, 4-game, single-game showdown, all kinds of content. Next time, make sure you're there for that live stream, twitch.tv/OccupyFantasy. Go subscribe over there and follow us. That way you know when we're live and you can jump in next time live and ask questions. Again, you're about to watch the replay. If you like what we do here, give us a thumbs up. Click that subscribe button below to get the latest videos. Hope you enjoy. Good luck. Week 1 XFL DFS.
XFL, the brand new football league that's going to be super high scoring, super high pace, and really, really awesome for daily fantasy sports. What's up, guys? I'm your host, Moose, at CFB_Moose on Twitter. I'm here from OccupyFantasy.com, at OccupyFantasy on Twitter. Joined alongside our co-founder, Brian Jester FF on Twitter. Brian, what's up, man? How you doing today?
I am good, Moose. We're deep in the XFL grind over here at Occupy Fantasy. The daily plug will be out shortly. And if you're watching this replay on YouTube, it should be out by the time you're watching it. So,
Yeah, I mean, it should be. It was crazy because normally we have no problem writing daily plugs. Like, there's you, me. Majority of the time it was Chris, whoever. But then brand new football league, brand new rules, new coaching, new schemes, new everything. We're just kind of like, how the hell do we do this? And we just have had to grind and grind and grind, get as much information as we possibly could to fit it for you all. And I think it's gonna be a hell of a product.
yes, I think so too. And if you haven't already listened to our podcast that Chris and I did this week, it talks about a lot of high level strategy for week 1, why we think it's such a huge edge. And we can recap some of that here too, Moose. But a lot of confidence out there in the industry on Twitter. And a lot of people who are claiming to be XFL beat writers, XFL writers, really have, excuse my French, have no fucking idea. Like, you ask a couple questions and they just give a nonsensical answer. They know way less than we do. So I think there's gonna be a lot of misinformation spread, and a lot of that we can take advantage of in our contest.
Yeah. Now there's difference between, again, it's like staying in your lane. It's like you know what these people can offer you, and they're just kind of guesstimating at this point. So that's why they're calling. Maybe that's why they're calling themselves experts. They know a lot about it, and not saying that they don't know a lot about it, but they don't know the right things that we're trying to find. That's where we come in. We do all the dirty work for you. We do as much as we possibly can here. Basically, as many people on our staff as being allocated to it as we can. And as you see here is our landing page, which tells you what we're going to be providing for XFL this year, contingent on a couple of things. Like Brian alluded to earlier, you have the podcast every week. We're also here on the Twitch stream as well. You have the daily plug, which will be up later tonight, if not tomorrow morning. We're working with DFS Magic to be a lineup builder for XFL. That'll be absolutely incredible. And then dependent on if the XFL ever gets back to me on what data they can provide. I've reached out to as many people as I can within the XFL, trying to get access to their API and their data and stuff. They literally never get back to me or give me nonsensical answers.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I think the AAF had a decent data stream that they were providing.
They did, yeah.
And I think XFL will be pretty much in line with that. And they're probably just going to wait till after week 1 for that to be provided. I guess we'll see. Maybe we'll hear something tomorrow, but
Yeah.
I'm not too concerned about it. And Craig83 in the chat, what's up, Craig, did ask, will we have DFS Magic for it? Unfortunately, it won't be ready for week 1, but the right now we're planning on having it out for week 2. So DFS Magic, our partner, our lineup builder that we use, it'll be a little bit different, and we'll talk about this more in next week's content, how to use it. It won't be the same as NFL DFS because we don't have the Occupy model values, but you should be able to build 150 lineups next week using DFS Magic.
Perfect. Yeah. Now that's an interesting thing. I know we talked about there's no Occupy model because there's nothing to go on. So new format, new type of scoring system, and all that kind of stuff like that. High level, Brian, how do you kind of tackle this then?
Yeah. So really, it's figuring out what So we do our own research, right? We have Lucas on board who does our college
Mm-hmm.
football and NFL preseason research. We have Chris who does NFL research. We have us. We're doing our normal process, and by doing NFL preseason research for like 4 years now, we can wade through the bullshit. So we know what's useful, what's not useful, and uh, and that's going to contribute. It's going to be one of the contributors to ownership in these contests on FanDuel and DraftKings.
Mm-hmm.
And as we talked about in our podcast, a couple other things. We have betting odds, which is like one of the only starting points that we have for the
Yeah.
XFL. We have depth charts, and we have other content sites. So all those combinations are going. If a player meets the criteria of all three of those, they're going to be popular. And we already have highlighted once the daily plugs out. We highlighted every position where we think the most popular plays will be.
Yeah. That's great. And you mentioned betting odds, and again, pardon my French. Maybe that's why I'm not on their side, on that side of the counter. But there were definitely some p words out there in the bookmaking world. Whereas I reached out to as many bookmakers as I can. I was like, "Hey guys, what's up with the XFL?" When we were out in Vegas, I wanted to bet week one. Caesars put up season win totals. A couple places had betting like the spreads. Nobody said they would put up totals. There was one bookmaker who even said, "We don't know if we will ever put up totals for the XFL." And I was like, "Are you serious? That is the most chicken shit thing I've ever heard." I reached out to Circa Sports, one of their guys, and I said, "Hey, dude, when are you gonna have XFL up?" He said, "I got you." And sure and behold, they were the world opener for the totals.
They were
Granted,
bad openers, but they did open them.
and that's the thing. Like someone mentioned that on Twitter. They were like Matthew, which is the one of the odds makers there at Circa. He was like, that was a bad line. He said, rather put up a bad number than no number, which makes
Yeah,
absolutely the perfect sense. And their limits weren't as high as what they were taking for regular NFL games, which makes sense,
sure.
obviously. But yeah, they've been kind of got hammered on the over, absolutely. And now they've kind of settled down everywhere. I'm about to check it now, see what it is at Circa, but it looks like most totals have hovered around that 50 to 50-ish range, which indicates it's going to be kind of a higher scoring slate.
Yeah, because the AAF, by the time it was the middle of the season, they had totals in the 30s,
Yeah.
and Circus Sports, like you mentioned, they opened their totals all at 40 and a half, like zero conviction. They just said we're gonna put it at 40 and a half and let the bettors decide what to do with this.
Yep.
And I tweeted about it. I said these are gonna go up to 50 probably. You in our staff chat, you said they're probably gonna go up to 50,
Hmm.
and they did. And like you said, once the line settled and stopped moving so goddamn much, a lot of these offshore books started putting them up.
Yeah.
And even Pinnacle Sports have them up now. And the games are lined at 49, 49 and a half, 51, 51 and a half, which is much more in line with what we expected it to be.
Yeah, and so I just checked now at Circa. It's all the Saturday games are at 50, and all the Vipers Guardian game on Sunday is 51. The Battlehawks Renegades game is 51 and a half. So
Yep.
all 10-point moves that would definitely get the team total badge. And
Yeah, so I think, from our standpoint, looking at this is a rare situation where we don't use the actual opener. Now that all these offshore books use whatever the offshore openers were, is probably what we'll use to
yeah,
determine team total moves.
we'll do like a Pinnacle
And
opener there.
there's still been a couple moves here and there since this morning.
Yep.
Um, we actually have a question from Jimmy Touchdown, so I guess we're gonna get into some strategy. If you guys do have questions, again, we're recording this live on Twitch. If you're watching the replay, we have a chat room, so be sure to join us next time. You can ask questions live, get them answered. Jimmy TD, who is a Twitch Prime subscriber, gets access to our Discord. Remember, all Prime subscribers, Twitch subscribers get access to the Discord, where we talk about a lot of different things. Jimmy says, "Is it a wide receivers game? One running back, four receivers." So remember the lineup requirements are a little different. Just one running back required. We have a couple flex spots, and I think it'll be pretty similar to where FanDuel we want to flex running backs. There are a couple high volume running backs we think. And in DraftKings, we have the PPR scoring. I think it makes much more sense, especially with the cheaper receiver options over there, to go for receivers, especially in the game stacks.
Yeah, and let me ask you this question, Brian. I know we talk about for NFL in college as well, to some extent, where running back is a position you don't really get cued at. Get the guy who's going to get the volume, get the targets, on, for example, on DraftKings with the PPR. Does that same strategy apply here, you think?
Uh, Sorry, I was actually reading the chat moves. I didn't hear what you said. What was the question again? Sorry.
No problem. So, like how we have it in NFL and to some extent in college football, do we want that one running back spot to be not get like don't get cute at all on it? Go for the guy who's probably got the large spread, got guaranteed asterisk volume, uh, like with a yeah. That's how I would take it, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, you said it perfectly. We don't actually know. We have some ideas of who the workhorse backs will be. But again, this first week is going to be way different. Week 2 will be a lot different
Mm-hmm.
than week 1 strategy. So I don't necessarily think we have to do that in week 1.
Okay.
So
Okay. SNK synced forever has a question. Says, is there any concern of PJ Walker and Connor Cook possibly splitting playing time?
no concerns that we've seen. Again, we'll be monitoring this up through kickoff, but from all indications, PJ Walker, Phillip Walker is a starting quarterback. Will be the starting quarterback unless he just completely sucks. And if that's the case, and you use him, then you're screwed anyways. So
Yeah.
yeah, PJ Walker should be the main quarterback playing all the snaps.
Here's a great question. I love from Randy Rules 84 right here. It says salaries aren't efficient yet, so leaving money on the table and doing full game sack makes sense. Yes,
Yeah.
I cannot stress enough. You easily can leave $10,000 left over, especially on DraftKings is what I've tried so far.
Yeah, very reminiscent of the Pro Bowl slate. Random rules. Be sure to check out our daily plug. We really go in depth on that subject. Again, it'll be released after this video, but yeah, we hit on all those points on how to take advantage and get unique lineups, especially with just only 8 teams and with a pretty saturated content market. We found some great ways to differentiate your lineups, and it hits on both of those points.
Do you think the other people are going to be using a majority of their salary?
I've read so much content this week just to see what other people are recommending.
Mm-hmm.
Not a single content site is talking about even lineup construction in general. It's all top plays.
Wow.
So not surprising.
Yeah.
Yes. Not to be condescending, but like that's a focus of our content. Like I wrote it, I think in the email went out to our members this morning. It's like, look, for being honest here, I won $1 million last year. I won $250,000 last year. I won $100,000 last year. 3 different contests in football. And we understand at Occupy Fantasy how to construct football lineups. We understand how to differentiate your lineups. And we put a lot of that thought into this week's daily plug.
Yeah, can't say it any better. Jimmy's wants a clarification on game stacks. Do we do like a 3-3, 2-3? Do you think I don't know. It's kind of tough. What kind of game stacks would you recommend?
Yeah, that's probably too much. I mean, if you did a 51-point NFL total, would you be doing a 3-3 game stack? Probably not. So I think you certainly can have lineups like that because it's only a 4-game slate. I just don't think that's necessary. I think you can dial it back a little bit.
Do you think you'll go probably 3-2 or 3-1?
Yeah, probably 3-1, and then if whatever I use adds a couple more guys in, that's fine. But I think as a base, 3-1 is probably the best.
Yeah. I will say though, maybe not everyone knows what the XFL rules are, but there's gonna be like the shootout for overtime. I can absolutely guarantee you there will be some tilting shit when some dude will be like in 20th place and it'll go to like 25th round of the shootout in playoffs, and the guy's gonna score like 10 times.
Yeah, because I mean, you could legit if you have a quarterback receiver stack in a shootout, you could score like 16 extra points in overtime. So,
Yeah.
I mean, a slate will be tipped by that at some point this season. I can't wait for it. Hopefully, I'm on the right side of it.
Yeah, that would suck. But yeah, guys, great questions. Keep asking them. We'll be here till about 9:30, live taking your questions. Let me go ahead and get this retweeted out as well.
While you're doing that, Musa, I'm going to talk about some of the sections that we have in the Week 1 Daily Plug. It's very similar to how the College Football Daily Plug was written by Lucas.
Okay.
So we have an entire slate notes section on lineups, bankroll, contests. And so we have the usual bankroll allocation section, the contest recommendation section, how many lineups to create depending on the type of player you are. Well, that's the usual Occupy Fantasy stuff. In this XFL Week 1 Daily Plug, we also have low risk lineup strategy. So if you do find some contests out there with inexperienced players, you can make a low risk lineup. We tell you how to do that. We talk about 3 different ways, 3 different strategies for building high risk contests. Included our Random Rules 84's question about salary usage. We have another question about. I mean, we have another section about game stacks, and we have another section which I've never even seen it like this, but this concept I applied in our FFPC playoff challenge that I teamed up with Jack to do, where we basically we talked about how many high owned guys do we want in the lineup, and we set constraints on that. We made 50 lineups in that, and we ended up profiting. But basically, we tell you how to balance ownership. How many guys from our high owned list to use? How many guys from the low owned list to use in your high risk lineups to make sure you have a unique lineup. We talk about the weather. We talk about satellite targets, and then we have our top plays listed by ownership and our preference. And then we also have individual team by team breakdowns. So it's an incredible article. It should be out shortly. I'm really excited for people to read that.
Yeah, that just sounds absolutely incredible. I see we got Slicks Todd in the chat here. What's up, man? He said, "What's your thoughts on quarterback Jones and Ross? Rocket Ross has been highly recommended by like everybody."
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We have to keep a close eye on Rashad Ross. So he's actually the guy you see on the screen here. Dominated the AAF, has dominated NFL preseason. But curiously was listed as a backup on the team's initial depth chart. And again, we're not sure how valid these depth charts are, but the guy who was listed in front of him is out on the injury report. So we have some thoughts on what his ownership is going to end up being, what his role is going to end up being. I think he'll play more than not. But again, it's very uncertain.
Okay, yeah. And it seems like Nightbot is having a field day right now, doing some old shit that don't talk about. But speaking of the random props guy that he talked about, last year it went 25%. And we did about 7% just last week.
I think so. I was a little higher actually.
I think I was closer to 10, maybe.
Yeah, maybe something like that. Yeah, but either way, it was another profitable year for Super Bowl props.
Yeah. I hope you guys got down on it too. I know some of our members in the legal state said that they made a couple units, which is all you can ask for, really.
Yep, all you can ask for. Give you some XFL bankroll boost before it starts.
Absolutely. So I know you mentioned a little bit about low risk, and this may be to not of a high level, but kind of ties in with Jimmy's question they just asked. If we don't know anything at all really about these players, like how they're going to perform, we know it's something, yeah, but doesn't that kind of shape up more to more allocation towards high risk? It seems kind of shaky to do low risk lineups.
Yeah, definitely. So basically, this is what's going to happen. We're going to have probably 1, 2, 3, like 3 to 6 guys, probably 3 to 4 guys at running back, like 5 to 6 guys at receiver that take up a ton of ownership.
Okay.
When in reality, their teammates or guys on other teams are in similar spots, are cheaper, and the only reason we believe that these guys will be higher owned, the reason people are recommending them higher than their teammates and these other guys, is because of their past production. And that may or may not be the right way to look at this. We don't know for sure. It might be, it might not be. But again, we have tons of ownership concentrated in just a few spots. And the difference in projections, I say projections, but like everyone's just throwing shit at the wall, see if it sticks in these projections. Like we have massive leverage potential, just complete uncertainty in usage and roles. And that doesn't bode well for low risk, but for high risk, I mean, it's an incredible opportunity for high risk contests, GPP satellites.
I mean, yeah, I searched for like 3 straight days trying to get information on the preseason games, and they just like didn't keep track of the stats. So
yeah, there's like one Reddit thread per game that like talks about some highlights, but that's really it.
Yeah. As Jimmy says, any guess on the chalk/ownership? Who do you think is gonna be the highest owned guy?
Yeah, we like I said, we have this listed in the plug, but I think the highest owned guy will probably be either Jarrell Presley, the DC running back, or Sammy Coates, the Houston wide receiver, probably.
Okay, nice.
That would be my guess.
Great question from Ova216. Again, guys, if you have questions, we'll be here for another 10 minutes. So make sure you get your questions in. He says there was a lot of overlay on the Super Bowl satellites to these XFL contests. Do you foresee a lot of overlay in this contest for this week since there isn't any data for this week?
I think there's a lot of overlay because people aren't forward looking and there wasn't content out last week. But now there's plenty of content. No matter what site you go to, someone has an opinion on XFL DFS. So I think people will find that content and they'll play. I mean, the big $10 GPP on DraftKings is already 25,000 out of 41,000 filled as the night before. I think that'll fill. What I don't think will fill are FanDuel satellite. So be sure to check those out.
Yeah, and here's the thing. This is also one of the strangest weeks. It's the weekend after the Super Bowl. People probably that was probably the week where people spent the most of their bankroll, whether it's betting, DFS, watching, whatever, and they're feeding for some more football. So they're like, all right,
Yeah,
it's like the Kermit meme, just entering contest.
for sure.
Slicks Todd has another question or comment. It says, "Seems like it's just bad as EPL with the lack of information." Yeah,
Yeah, EPL, WNBA, yeah, whatever.
all those crazy
Lots
things.
of niche sports. I mean, the information's bad here, and not even like. Not only is it hard to get, the information you do get is pretty bad. It's a lot of guys trying to a lot of guys and gals trying to make a name for themselves, and
And you can't knock that.
I can't at all. But again, there's a lot of overconfidence.
Yeah.
When I guarantee Diana Rossini, who's a sideline reporter for ABC and ESPN this weekend, will immediately get more information tomorrow morning than these people have been all training camp. So you just have to take everything with a grain of salt.
Yeah, and that's why it's awesome that we have a DC team. We got some people that are going to the game early. Is going to give us as much thoughts as they can find. I tried to get a media pass, but that got shot down very quickly.
Yeah, yeah, that sucks. I mean, I feel like for some of these people that are getting media passes, I feel like we could have gotten them.
I know. I don't know if we want to give this away, but Jimmy says, "What are your thoughts on quarterback?"
Yeah, I think Philip Walker will be really popular. Cardell Jones, DC Defenders, will be very popular. As Chris says in the chat, and Chris has been on the news grind with us. I mean, there was literally a guy today who was getting retweeted by multiple people saying that breaking, this quarterback could start, but he also might not. It's like, how's that breaking news? Like, you literally just covered both sides there. So
Wow.
I think we'll get some info tomorrow. But
Yeah.
I think Philip Walker, Cardell Jones will be high owned, and then the plug, we have a couple guys in mind that are going to be way low owned, and guys that you can stack with them that have just as much upside.
Yeah. And now I'm curious to see how these betting odds are going to move in the morning, because I'm sure, again, information game, people are going to find out stuff. I would say check the lines probably an hour or so before the game start. And if you see any moves, that's probably some sharp action, especially if you can't find anything. You'd be like, all right, I should probably be on this team.
Yeah, true.
Definitely.
So true.
So, all right, we got 8 minutes left. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
All right. We talked about lineup constructions.
I actually have a question for you.
Let's hear it.
So again, we talked about how we're gonna have a massive edge week 1 because of the lack of everything. Let's say if you're doing something like, I'm trying to find a contest here on DraftKings.
Remember your question, Moose. Write
Okay.
it down if you have to. But I want to interject for a second.
Okay.
There's a massive edge in high risk contests that we can still very, very much airball, right? Go 0 for 3, 0 for 5,
absolutely.
0 for 10. But again, it's a very rare opportunity to get this much leverage. We might not come out on the right side of it, and I hope people see the big picture here. But the difference in ownership between actual expectations is a huge range, and that we can't really ask for much more than that. High risk contests are literally high risk, but I mean, this is an excellent opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say, I know we talked about before of only play a tournament if you can max it, but do you think with potential leverage like this, let's say if there's a 14 entry max, you can only, with your bankroll, you can do 10. Do you think that's still viable to do?
I actually do this week. Yeah, especially on DraftKings because they don't have any like really good large field contests like the 100-player leagues. They have a couple like 30 and 50-player leagues. If you're a small player, they have a 25-cent contest that's like 100 or 200 people, which is fine, and you should target that. But for any higher bankrolls, there's really not. So I don't think it's a problem doing that this week.
Nice.
Yeah, Random Rules 84 has the right idea in this chat. We talk about this specifically in the plug, but cheaper wide receivers, just swapping them in place of high price receivers in your stacks. I mean, instant way to get leverage, instant way to be more unique.
Exactly. Yep. Great question. So
spot on.
5 more minutes, guys. Let's get these rapid fire questions in. I want to know, as JL Wins says, release the plug. We need it. See, I told you, man. People fiend for this shit.
I know we're putting the final touches on it now. Chris and Lucas are working hard on it, and we just want to make sure it's all together for you and it all makes sense for you. So it should be out very, very shortly.
Definitely. So y'all in the chat that are watching, I want you to post in the chat who do you think your favorite play is this week?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I want to see.
If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're watching it, even whether it's live on Twitch here, put it in the chat on YouTube. Let's hear your favorite play. Maybe if you select the highest scoring player, for the XFL DFS slate, we'll send you a prize maybe. So comment on YouTube, comment here in the chat.
Exactly. Yep. Let's see. Yeah, as Chris says, plug will be up right after this. Looks like says Trudell. Okay.
Yep, tight end for the Vipers. It's funny because so their offensive coach, coordinator, head coach is Mark Trestman, and he used the tight end a lot in his offense. And this dude was just like never drafted in a fantasy draft before because he took a tight end at the 5th overall pick of the draft. Dude was like, I need to get this tight end for my team. It's like, all right, calm down, bro. Like I'm gonna take him. So
yep. Jimmy says, do you have wide receivers Delaire or Horn starting for Tampa Bay?
Yeah, those guys are listed. Reese Horn, Jalen Tolliver, both listed as starting receivers on Tampa Bay depth chart.
Nice. Snaked Forever says Keenan Reynolds is the funniest play on the slate.
So Keenan Reynolds, as we wrap this up here, former college quarterback at Navy, so lots of experience running the football. Played receiver a couple preseasons with the Baltimore Ravens. He's listed as a receiver on the Seattle's depth chart, but because of this double forward pass rule, there are a couple guys in the league that we think could get extra action, whether it's as a quarterback or we haven't seen any of these design plays. So whether it's like a jet sweep pass or like, I don't even know what else it could, like a screen, a wide receiver screen pass. I don't know. We're not sure what these designs are going to be, but guys like Keenan Reynolds could be involved and boost their fantasy totals.
Yeah. And as Paperboy mentions, says Nick Holley being a wide receiver, he played quarterback in college with the ability to pass twice. Seems like it's going to be insane. Yeah, again, that's another tilting thing that could happen is like your quarterback, your wide receiver catches a pass and throws a touchdown. Like that's a fuck ton of points right there.
Yeah. So yeah, Holley, running back on the team's roster, but listed as a receiver, a starting receiver on the team's depth chart. So interesting spot there too.
Yeah. And then Jimmy says that is his top play.
Yep, Jeff Badet. I'm pretty sure it's Badet. Yeah, Jeff Badet. Cool. For Dallas.
Yeah. And as we wrap up here, we never touched on it. I haven't really seen much on it either. Contests are kind of small, but for Showdown, how do you tackle that?
Oh, buddy. Yeah, we didn't talk about this at all, and we didn't really talk about this in the plug either. Maybe we should put a sentence in there if Chris is still listening. But our 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, low risk strategy. If you want to play low risk on this slate, that's probably the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, you can basically fit whoever you want in some of these showdown lineups. So I really like that idea. I think that'll go overlooked by a lot of the sharper players. So yeah, play some showdowns. I think you can get an edge there too.
Nice. I was just looking here. Yeah, there's no badges. Maybe there might be some in the morning. Cool. So, all right, one more minute, guys. Get your last questions in. Rapid fire. And don't forget, guys, we still have our Discord here. If you're a subscriber here, us on Twitch, you get access to the Discord. If you're a subscriber and you don't know how to get access to it, hit us up, whether it's through here, Twitter, email, whatever, and we'll give you the invite link. We'll get you all set up.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Discord has been growing recently. We appreciate that. I know a lot of people stopped through for the Super Bowl. Hope you guys stick around beyond. Lots of good chats in there. Jimmy says Keenan Reynolds the only ex-quarterback you're aware of. So there's 3 guys really that are in this double quarterback range or double pass attempt range. It's Keenan Reynolds for Seattle. It's Quentin Flowers, who was literally only a quarterback in college, and he is on Tampa Bay.
Okay.
And then you have Jerron Hurd, who is on Dallas, and he's way down the depth chart, but he was a quarterback in college too. So
nice.
So cool. Those are 3 guys that could potentially get some boost from these double pass rules.
Yeah. So, all right, cool. Any last words, Brian? You want to take us out of here?
Yeah. Again, limit your bankroll allocation. If you have tickets, it's a freaking fantastic week to use your tickets. DraftKings and FanDuel. If you won them in the Super Bowl, Yeah, the plug's going to be out. It's going to give you a full game plan for this slate. And again, it's a massive edge. We can't control what happens, but no one can. And we think, again, the key to this slate, the whole ideology of this slate is that there's going to be a ton of ownership where it's probably not warranted. And as long as we can hit that right combo, we have a chance for some big paydays. So really excited. Read the plug. It's going to be out here shortly. By the time you watch this video on YouTube, it'll be up occupyfantasy.com. And as always, subscribe. So most people want to give them the subscribe info.
Which subscribe info?
Wherever they want to subscribe.
Yeah. So if you want to subscribe to us, if you're watching this on YouTube, hit that like, subscribe, and bell notification to be notified of when we upload new videos. If you're here on Twitch, make sure you hit that purple follow button, the purple heart. Get notified of when we go live. Turn our notifications on Twitter if you want to do that. Follow us on Twitter at Occupy Fantasy. You can follow me directly at CFB_Moose. You can follow Brian directly at BrianJesterFF. With that being said, have a good night, guys, and let's be profitable tomorrow.